8 out loud.
The average cable television company offers its customers 50 channels, but new fiber optic lines will enable telephone companies to provide 100 to 150 television channels to their customers for the same price as cable companies charge for 50. Therefore, cable companies will be displaced by the new television services offered by telephone companies within a few years.
All right, so what should we do first?
So you find out what the main thing was, right?
Conclusion, yep. So what's our conclusion?
Cable companies will be displaced by the new television services.
Yes. And why are we saying that?
Because the new services offered, they're going to offer more channels than the cable companies. So the new television services are going to offer 100 to 150 channels, whereas for the same price as the cable company charged for 50.
Yeah, so then is this a valid argument?
Yes.
Really for sure that the new TV services are going to displace the other one just because they offer more channels?
No.
Why might it not be a valid argument?
Because they may be, well, it says the same price.
If you were going to tear this argument apart, what would you do?
So maybe the cable television company offers something that the new television services don't offer.
Yeah, excellent. That's a great prediction. So we could strengthen this by saying the opposite of what you said, right? That the cable company does not offer anything that the telephone company is not able to, right? All right, so go ahead and read through these, start with A and read through these answer choices and tell me if you love it, leave it, or hate it.
The initial cost per household of installing new fiber optic television service will exceed the current cost of installing cable television service. I didn't think that was, it didn't apply.
Yeah, excellent.
They didn't talk about installing anything. Now I know that B is the answer, but I picked C. So it says cable television companies will respond to competition from the telephone companies by increasing the number of channels they offer.
Okay, so so we're trying to say that the cable companies will replace the telephone companies, right?
Yes.
So what are the cable television companies? Or I'm sorry, we're saying that the telephone companies are going to replace the cable companies. So how is that the cable companies are going to respond by increasing their numbers of channels going to strengthen the idea that the telephone companies are going to replace the cable companies? This would almost weaken it.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, I see that.
All right, so go ahead and read D and E for me.
Some telephone companies own cable companies in other areas and in areas other than those in which they provide telephone services. I didn't think that applied to
yeah, like who cares, right?
Yeah. The new fiber optic services offered by telephone companies will be subject to more stringent governmental. Again, they didn't talk about the programming, so it didn't apply.
Okay, right. But also be careful. One thing to be careful about though is on strength and questioning, since these are bottom up, we do get to bring in new information. But I agree that this one I don't think is relevant. The new fiber optic services offered by telephone companies will be subject to more stringent government programming regulations than those. Well, this would actually weaken it. Like if the services offered by the telephone company are subject to more stringent programming, then that's not a reason that the telephone company is going to replace the cable company.
Right.
But if this was switched, like maybe it would work.
And I think maybe that's where I'm getting confused, or that's why I'm picking what I'm picking, because when they talk about two different things that are like competing, like you have cable television companies and you have telephone companies, like maybe I get them switched. Is it good to write it down?
I don't think you have to write it down, but I think it's making extra effort of what we're trying to do. Like, like really keep going back to like saying the television company is going to replace the cable company. Like, I want the cable company in first. Like, I don't think you have to write that down, but I think you have to make the extra effort to come, like, really explain what this conclusion is to in your own words so you can remember it as you go.
Okay.
All right, and then why does B work here?
The most popular movies and programs on channels carried by the cable companies will also be offered on channels carried by fiber optic lines owned by the telephone companies. I have no idea why that's the right answer. Because they're talking about the cable companies being displaced. They're not talking about what channels they're carrying.
Yes. So this is saying that the most popular shows on the cable company, the telephone companies is also going to carry. So it's all fine and dandy that the telephone company offers 100 to 150 channels, but what if they all suck? So this is saying of these 50 channels, the most popular ones, the telephone company is also going to offer. So that strengthens the idea that it's really going to be replaced, right? Because like I'm thinking like my dad likes ESPN. Well, if this new telephone company didn't have ESPN, he probably wouldn't switch.
Yeah. Okay.
And this kind of goes with what our prediction was that the telephone company does not have, or the cable company does not have something that the telephone company does not.
Right.
So you made the prediction. It's just putting that into like practice, which can be challenging.
Yeah.